How's it going, everybody? It's illumignostic, freshly back from the deep, deep rainforest, which was an amazing experience. It's been a bucket list item for me for most of my life to see the Amazon rainforest. Now I've lived in it for a few years, but I'm discovering that the true Amazon, where the species are more or less intact, is vanishing, and I don't live in it. There are a monkey species or two here, and there's a lot of biodiversity. It's very beautiful, but there are no macaws. There's supposed to be 22 different species of monkey, and a lot of animals are missing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, because even in the deep jungle, there's some pretty alarming stuff that you'll notice. Although I have to say that I was really surprised at the sheer number of major Amazon animals that we saw. Macaw, anaconda. Although it was a very young, small one, it is the rainy season, so the lake was very flooded. And during that time, you see more pink dolphins, and we did see them. I think every time we went out in the boat. I was only there for one full day, and 2 half days. So I saw all these animals in a very, very brief. I mean, it only took a few hours. There are 2 macaws, caiman. We caught a pirahna, baby anaconda. 4 or 5 species of monkeys. There was one big black one. I don't remember what it was called. And then howler monkey, squirrel monkeys, pygmy marmoset. Maybe it. And unfortunately, I didn't get any video of these larger monkey species. I don't know why, but I didn't do it. We went to a Siona village where the last Siona shaman lives, and I was hoping to get an interview with him, but he wasn't there, so kind of hit or miss. Although when we go with the retreat in November, I'm going to do my best to make arrangements to try to ensure that he's there, and we're going to go a little longer because it can be difficult to pin indigenous people down for appointments. It's just kind of not a priority to make appointments a lot of times with Quechua and other indigenous people. So we'll do our best to make sure that we see the shaman. If not, we'll look for the Sequoia shaman. But either way, we'll go to the village where you can learn to make manioc flour, which we did with a Siona woman. And it's just a really tremendous experience. Although, it did really drive home how bad deforestation is, and how much of the rainforest has actually disappeared, and how bad the species loss actually is. It's really, really bad. I mean, I live already 4 hours in from the edge of the rainforest, and there are only marmoset monkeys for the most part. I think if you go hiking deep into the jungle, you might find a few howler monkeys or spider monkeys. And then there are green parrots every once in a while, but there are no macaws. There are no anacondas in any of the rivers. Those species have been pushed way, 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 way deep in there. And so it's about 6 or 7 hours, I guess, to drive from where I live to where the species are more or less intact. And Cuyabeno does have the pink dolphins, which we saw. There are jaguar. They think there's about 250 jaguar in the park. Plenty of anacondas. There's still a lot of species, but probably the most disturbing thing that we noticed is that you could drive for hours and there are no bugs on your windshield. And we're talking about the Amazon rainforest. So all the pesticides in the water have really just killed off the overwhelming majority of insects. And of course, that's going to have an effect on the larger species. I'm sure it already has reduced the bat population, and it's affecting the birds. But there's almost no mosquitoes. Yeah, and it's not right that you should be able to drive hours and hours through the rainforest and not have bugs on your windshield. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone needs to be told this. It's something I think we're all aware of, but the situation is definitely super critical. And the best advice that I could really give is that if you haven't seen the rainforest, especially deep somewhere like Yasuni or Cuyabeno, now would be the time, because the species loss is pretty rapid and pretty remarkably sad and scary, really, to just the total lack of insects. And this is actually something I've been able to observe in the few short years that I've lived here. We used to find a new species of caterpillar almost every day. There's just a ton of variety of caterpillars, and now it seems like only the most pesticide resistant are still around. There's only a few species, a handful. Ecuador has the greatest variety of butterfly and moth and caterpillar species of anywhere in the world. This reserve that we went to claims to be the most biodiverse place in the world, although several places make that claim. But it definitely has more biodiversity per hectare than the entire United States. So, there's still quite a lot of life here. I was really surprised to see so many of those animals in a single day. But it's so severe, the loss of species, that I've actually watched it happen. I see less variety of frogs. The jungle around water at night is often very quiet. I got to talk to this guy that they call Gringo Loco de la Selva, the crazy gringo of the jungle. He owns a very nice lodge. His name's Douglas. And he's been here for 31 years. And, he's seen a lot. And he said that the frogs are the most notable absence, that it used to be extremely loud in the jungle at night. And, now there's very little sound. So it's quite disturbing. But, like I was saying, I'd really like to encourage all of you guys out there to visit the rainforest. And what I'm going to do for our November retreat is, because it's going to raise the price a little bit for the full month, I'm going to do the last week so that you can come for 3 weeks and not go to Cuyabeno if you don't want to pay the extra money. And you can come for up to 3 weeks, or any part of that 3-week period. And then the people that want to go can stay for the last week, and then we will travel probably by private car or plane out to the reserve, and we will do 5 days and 4 nights, and then everyone will go home from there because it's closer to Quito, I think, than we are now. Either way, it just makes the most sense to do it that way. So if you are interested in this, especially if you want to join us for the deep jungle trip at the end, it'll be the finale of JungleGnosis retreats, because it's going to be the last round before we head back to the United States. So if you're interested in that, it'd be really helpful if you make your deposit sooner than later, because if I don't reserve our spots now, we may miss it, and it's going to cost thousands of dollars because I have to secure an entire lodge because I don't want other tourists to be mixed up with our group because they can just be really obnoxious. I personally don't understand this, but it's a lot of people just talk and talk and talk and talk. They weren't even looking at the jungle. They're just talking and talking and talking and talking, trying to be quiet and look for animals, and nobody will shut up. And it's, I don't want to deal with it. So, yeah, I'm going to ensure that we have our own, why can't I turn this light off? Our own private tour set up. And that will require, renting the whole lodge. So need those deposits so we can get this locked in for everyone. And it's going to be an amazing experience for sure. And the benefit of going in November is that it's at the low season for both people and water. So when it's less flooded, the banks are visible. And so the large anacondas are coiled up on the banks. The tapir and jaguar and caiman and all of this stuff are, they have to come to the caiman are already in the water, but the other animals from the jungle have to actually come down to the water's edge to drink. And so you see a lot more of these animals. The exception is that the pink dolphins are less common during the low season. It's not out of the question that we could see them, but it's less likely in November. But personally, I'm much more interested in the large anaconda because it's been like my totem spirit animal since I was a child. And we only saw one that was about 3 weeks old basking on a log. Very beautiful snake, but I want to see the big ones. And so November is the best time of year for that. And that's part of the reason why we're going. And then we also fished for piranhas, which was a really cool experience. I've bought piranha to eat before. I guess there are 25 species in the water of that lake. There are also electric eel and manatees. And so after fishing for the piranha, unfortunately, we only caught one because we only had one hook. And the hook, the last fish that I hooked was quite large, and it straightened the hook out and broke the hook. So that was the end of that, but we did get to pull one out. I'm going to post a video of that soon. It had way larger teeth than I was imagining because the piranhas that I bought to eat before had much smaller teeth. I mean, it was definitely scary. And then we go 20 feet away and jump in the water, of course, which was a little bit weird to have caught piranhas and then just jump out of the boat. But that's what we did, and it was fine. Honestly, the most dangerous thing in the water there are maybe the caimans, although they're probably going to leave you alone, but the electric eel. If you were to accidentally come into contact with an electric eel, you would be knocked unconscious and likely drowned. Let me read the chat. Yeah, man, for sure. The lucid dreaming, that's a really cool technique. Basically gets you more hours in the day, more time to learn stuff and hone your skills and to circumvent limitations that are not, in the real 3D world, we're bound to the laws of nature. And in a lucid dream, we are not. And so that allows for us to derive unique perspectives and insights into all sorts of things. So yeah, lucid dreaming is definitely worth putting the effort in. I had all of us had really, really intense dreams when we were out in the jungle. And I was wondering if that has something to do with being in the jungle. Yeah, so I'm trying to think, what else to say about this, aside from the fact that it's really an honor to be able to introduce people to the jungle. Also, I want to thank David for taking us. He is a longtime supporter, and he was in the country and dropped by and just decided that he wanted to go. And so he took us out there and arranged everything. And so that was really helpful because we're not exactly rolling in money. And, you know, it's a huge check on my list of my bucket list to have seen a wild anaconda and the pink river dolphins and to really have that experience of being in the deep Amazon. It really is the coolest place on earth. I mean, there can't be anything more interesting than the Amazon rainforest. So I want to encourage everybody, definitely, you know, if you don't make it down here to see us for the plant medicine retreats in July and November, which there are still spaces available at both. How's it going, Chosen One? Yeah, still space available. If you don't make it down to see us, come and see the rainforest before it is gone. How much? It depends on how long you come and for which period. But you can send me an email and we can discuss that at JungleGnosis@proton.me. July is going to be a little bit cheaper than November. Well, the part, you know, just the last week. And I'm not going to add anything to it for arranging everything. You're just going to cover the cost of your tour and lodging out there, which is actually not incredibly much. And some of these places are offering discounts for influencers. And although I don't have a huge following, I do have 60,000 on TikTok. And that channel is specifically devoted to the rainforest. So I have been able to get something of a discount in exchange for making a promotional video. So it'll actually be a little bit cheaper probably than if you were to do it on your own. So hopefully we'll see all you guys. Again, if you're planning on coming, please make your deposit sooner than later so that I can pass that money on to reserve our trip to Cuyabeno. It'll be between $12.50 and $17.50 for 7 days. The last week, I have to check with the tour guide and see exactly how much, because we went for 3 days and 2 nights. But I don't feel like that's enough if you're traveling all the way from another country, because one of those days is really just going in on the boat. You know, which is interesting because, you know, we saw a lot of monkeys on the way in, a bunch of different species, sloth, we saw boa, I think, a few things, you know. So it's still an experience just getting there. But you travel in the first day and then do a couple of things, and then you have a full day, and then you leave at 9:30 in the morning. So I feel like the 2 days and 3 nights is not quite long enough. Because also I would like to incorporate visits to various indigenous villages and experience ayahuasca and go and meet with this last Siona shaman, because the authentic shaman is disappearing just like the rainforest. In fact, the New Age influence on ayahuasca is completely destroying the remnants of the old traditions. Because what's happening is you get these really smug, sort of know-it-all types, I guess. People, maybe it's just anchoring bias, I don't know, but people read stuff on the internet, and it's really just made up by the ayahuasca industry, a lot of it. But then if they come down and the shaman isn't adhering to this protocol that was just made up by vegans and, you know, people that are running retreats that, you know, last year were a real estate agent, the shaman feels like they have to conform to the consumer expectations, and so they have started doing all this stuff just because people will actually think they're fake if they don't reflect what they've read on the internet. It's really sad to watch. I've seen very authentic shaman totally abandon their traditions. And when that happens, they're actually less effective. They lose something. It comes at a high cost to abandon these things and adopt these sort of new agey, sort of fake ayahuasca industry protocols. And just general new aginess, it just really, anyways, so that's not a factor with people like Mama Celia, who is part of our regular retreats. She's a Quechua shamana, comes from a long lineage of shamans and shamana. Her grandparents were both shamans, and they lived in the deep jungle. And Mama Celia did not speak a word of Spanish or see a town or even know what a town was until she was 17 years old. So we're very lucky to have her because she is, very authentic. And then the shamans way out in the jungle with the Siona and the Sequoia are also still very deeply rooted in their traditions. There's little things you'll notice in the villages that are obviously not traditional, like they've abandoned the, there are these walking palms here that some references on the internet say that they don't actually walk around, but I know a biologist who claims to have tracked a specific tree over 30 years, and I can't imagine he's making this up, and it's moved 25 feet or something like that. So I think they do move. It's just very, very slow. So these walking palms, there are legends, the indigenous say that at night they will uproot and go running around in the jungle, which probably is not true. But they look like they could, and they have these really big, hard spikes on the roots, I guess they are. There's like all these, the trunk divides into a whole bunch of like individual straight log roots that plug into the ground. They're actually called Pene del Diablo, the red one, because it looks just like a penis and it's red. And that means, dick of the devil in Spanish. And so they have these very large thorns, and they used to shred the manioc, the yucca, by dragging it, you might also know it as cassava, by dragging it up and down on the walking palm root things, the legs of the walking palm, the penis of the devil would shred their manioc for them. But now they have like pieces of metal with holes punched in them, little aluminum thing. But for the most part, they're living very traditionally still out there in the reserve. Fishing for pirahna is a big thing. And I'll post a video of the Siona woman making the manioc flour and the it's sort of like a tortilla. After they crush it up and dry it, they cook it, and it's very different. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, you guys will just have to watch the video and maybe come and check it out. But I'm also interested while we're there in drinking with the Sequoia because I had a really interesting experience a few years ago drinking ayahuasca and receiving information about this alien race that lives on the third, the gas giant that didn't become a red dwarf in the Sirius star system. And it occurred to me, 10 days after the ceremony or so, to look online and see if I could find, if I could corroborate the information I was given. And it turns out that a paper had just been published several days after the retreat. So this information that I received was not known even to astronomers at the time that I received it, which really was shocking. And it, there was astrophysics involved that I could not possibly know. So it was one of the most interesting experiences that I've ever had with ayahuasca. And last year, I discovered that the Sequoia, they're another Amazonian tribe that are in the Yasuni Park and in Cuyabeno, actually also claim that they receive knowledge from Sirius when they drink ayahuasca from these beings on Sirius, which is completely insane. to hear, it blew my mind to hear that I'm not the only one that's experienced that. And, of course, there are a bunch of references to this all over the world. The Freemasons have the blue star in the lodge, which is Sirius. And the Hopi have the blue star prophecy. And also the Hopi have secret handshakes to identify keepers of the secret knowledge, just like the Freemasons. So there's this really, difficult to accept, but compelling bit of evidence that we received what we think of as the mystery school teachings in that tradition from an alien race from Sirius. That's kind of what it's looking like. And so I'm really interested to go and drink with them. So that's something that we're going to try to arrange while we're out there in Cuyabeno, because, I really would like to continue to investigate this mystery. By the way, you guys keep an eye out for a stream I'm going to do maybe tomorrow or the next day about my own contact experience, which was shared with everyone that I ran into the next day in Durango, Colorado in 2011. Everyone described them the same way, and all of the people that I met gave me their stories before I told them anything. And none of them knew each other. The only common denominator was me. So it's pretty convincing that it actually happened. And the reason is that apparently the U.S. government has admitted to recovering a spacecraft of non-human origin. There were cops in Vegas, I think it was, like last week or 2 weeks ago, that got caught on their body cam this green orb streaking down through the sky and into the ground, apparently. And a few hours later, the same cops that got that video were called to a house, a 911 call, and the entire family was saying that there were 8 to 10 foot aliens in their driveway, and they were climbing around on their house. And I guess there were a few calls. And you can tell that the cops were taking it seriously because they had just seen this crazy green orb crash themselves. And the next thing you know, they're getting 911 calls about aliens. And basically, I was told from several different sources, actually, one of them being a group of Native Americans that we met with in Farmington, New Mexico that same year. They wanted to tell us about the Star Tribes and how a lot of the ancient cultures had contact with them over the centuries. And the gist of it was basically that they cannot intervene until a species is on the brink of actually destroying itself, which I guess must happen quite a lot. And the interesting thing about that is here we are on the edge of World War III. The rainforest is disappearing. The bugs are vanishing because everything is so toxic. The United States is clearly collapsing. And here are the aliens, just like I was told they would be. So it's really, all of this has kind of given me confidence to tell the story, because I hate telling stories like this because they're just so, it's so over the top ridiculous in a sense that I would almost rather just not talk about it. But I'm starting to think that the information that I received all those years ago was actually true. And so, yeah, I don't want to get too much deeper into the specifics of that because I'm going to do the live stream soon. But really interesting times we live in. Also really disturbing, it speaks volumes about people, I think, in general, and their sort of head-in-the-sand approach to life, where if there's something that challenges their ontology, they are prone to engage their selective perception skills and just pretend that it didn't happen, that it's not there. Yeah, so it's interesting to me that the Pentagon has basically admitted that there are aliens, that they have an alien craft. We have, at this point, crystal clear video. We have cops that are seeing this stuff. and no one seems to care. I mean, it's not like this world news that, we've made alien contact. And of course, there are the conspiracy theorists that are saying that it is, just the government faking it, and that it's not real. But that, of course, is rooted in right-wing Christian beliefs, and they're trying to protect their religious ideology, basically, that this Earth is God's little planet, and there's no other life in the universe, and anything that threatens that is obviously a deception of the devil, and blah, blah, blah. So I wouldn't listen to those people. Most conspiracy theories originate with them, and it's done a lot of damage. People have neglected and ignored a lot of what is actually very useful and very positive information. The demonization of the Illuminati and the Freemasons and all these mystery school groups is tragic that so many people have ignored it, because it really is extremely powerful and useful knowledge. If you are a patron and you watch my secret streams, you know what I'm talking about, because we talk about it and analyze it, and the feedback has been extremely positive. By the way, do hit the like button, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon, so you can access our secret streams. We are demonetized, and it's not easy these days, so we really do appreciate your support. Yeah, well, he's saying, I'm not sure about the aliens at this point, and, me neither, of course. One of the interesting aspects of this contact experience that we all had in Durango is that everyone reported these things being translucent, as if they weren't actually there, that maybe they were projections. And a little bit later, I was studying the Western occult tradition, and I read about this practice of formulating a light body and sending it out around the universe, because the light body can travel at the speed of light, and from your point of view, no time is passing if you're traveling at the speed of light. The obvious problem with this is that where your physical body is, time is still passing at the same rate. So I don't know how exactly to come to terms with that, but there's also the idea of the Merkabah in the Old Testament. That what happened there was contact with an alien race, and of course it was a metal tent that was flying around, and you would follow the flames at night and the smoke trails by day, so it kind of sounds like a combustion engine, you know what I mean? And nobody but Moses was allowed to see this thing's face, and it knew about germs and diseases somehow, and that pork could be dangerous, and if you made it angry, you had to stand behind the thing, and it turned the flames on, and it had political agenda. It was blowing up other tribes, and it sounds like primitive people had contact with someone that had advanced technology. If you just read it as if you don't know what it is, that's what it sounds like. So the Merkabah, chariot of light, is the translation of that. And so what I'm getting at, I guess, is that I'm not entirely convinced that they are here physically, because it would be so difficult to do that, to travel, all of those light years. It just seems awfully ridiculous. So yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't know what aliens would be doing here. They're not here to get gold like some people claim. That's actually one of the most, you just have to think that through a little bit. If you ask someone if an alien race would be more advanced than us technologically, the answer is yes from most people, and so we can transmute lead into gold in the laboratory now. So if we can make gold in a lab, why the hell would aliens that can do anything we can do and more come all the way here to get gold, the heaviest element, and fly it? I mean, it's just so ridiculous that, so I don't know what the hell they would be doing here or how they would get here, or but there certainly is something going on. And the experiences that we all had in Durango, Colorado, everybody's descriptions, matched, and there's a lot of other stuff, and I'll talk about that in the other live stream. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but it is really interesting to me that people are ignoring it, because you'd think it would be a big deal for everyone. No, I have not heard about balls of light around Sasquatch. Who knows, you know? How did we get so derailed from the Amazon rainforest topic? Yeah, pink dolphins, you guys. There were pink dolphins. Yeah, I was actually surprised. I guess they're not uncommon, really, because they were just around all the time in the morning and in the evening. Just an incredible place, man. All you guys have to go. The blue morpho also, you may be familiar with. It is a big brown butterfly that flashes blue when the sun catches it. It's not actually blue if it's in the shade. And there are a bunch of different varieties. There are purple ones, and they vary in size a whole bunch. But they're just always flying by. You know, just they've got to be the most common butterfly species. Yeah, killer whales or dolphins. It's true. Well, all right, guys. I guess I'm gonna go have some dinner because I'm pretty delirious and tired and hungry from being in the jungle for a week. So I am going to check out early, and then tomorrow I'll be back. We have our secret streams for patrons tomorrow. If you're interested at all in the mysteries, you should join the Patreon at the $10 tier. It also helps us to keep this channel going. Keep your eyes out for the lateralis reaction. People seem to like the last tool reaction that I did, and remember, if you haven't seen them, that I'm doing it a little bit differently, and I'm analyzing the music and talking about any kind of occult references that are found in the lyrics that I know people might not catch, and so it's kind of the opposite of hearing for the first time. It's going to be music that I know very well, and I consider myself kind of a what is that word when you connoisseur of psychedelic music. So, I've spent thousands of hours sifting through the Grateful Dead's live output, and Fish, and Tool's music, and all kinds of John Zorn. We're going to do some John Zorn, who is probably the greatest genius modern composer. The music it's just incredible. I'm not even going to talk about it. You're just going to have to check it out. But I'm going to be doing all this stuff on my music channel, and at first I'm going to be posting the videos also on this channel, but that will stop eventually once we get some traffic on the new music channel. And we will resume our jam sessions this week. Last time I'm kind of annoyed with you guys because nobody told me that my backing tracks were inaudible, even though I was asking how it sounded, and then I went back and listened to it, and I was like, oh my God. How in the hell did no one mention that the backing tracks were inaudible? I could hear them, but you couldn't hear them. So, I was pretty annoyed at that. 3 hours of, playing along with imaginary backing tracks. Yeah, Fish says Patreon is definitely worth it. Yeah, and to keep the channel going, spend a lot of time editing and a lifetime researching, really. And that's what I feel like I'm being paid for the most, all this decades of reading books and joining secret societies and studying with shaman and all this stuff, taking a lot of big risks, to get the information that I share with you guys on the channel. So also we are rehabbing animals, and we don't get paid for that. At this point, there's like 8 dogs here because since there's no what is it called? Tourism. There's no money, and so there are all these starving dogs everywhere. And slowly but surely, they figure out that we will feed them if they come here. And the pack has just been growing and growing and growing. Sometimes we pay vet bills. And yesterday, now the Quechua have noticed that we're taking care of these dogs, and they have started dropping them off at the gate. So when we got back from the jungle, there was a tiny black puppy in very bad shape at our gate. And we've been doing this for years now. So that's why I made a video today saying, please, if you guys appreciate that we're doing this, consider making a donation to help cover all the dog food and vet bills and stuff. Because, we didn't really even sign up for this. And after a couple of years of it, we've spent quite a bit of money. So it'd be great to get some of that back. So even if you're not interested in the secret streams, we're trying to do a lot to raise awareness about conservation and preserve the traditions and knowledge of the rainforest. An older Quechua man the other day told me, you make sure that you make these older Quechua tell you everything they know about these plants, because the kids aren't learning it. They go away to the city so they can drink and smoke, and they come back here to visit and they say, oh yeah, I've been sick and I go to the hospital and they can't fix us, and then we give them plants and it fixes them and they still don't care and they still just go to the city. So we need people like you who aren't really coming anymore because of the economy to document all these plants and to preserve the knowledge. So that's something that I'm really trying to do. Also, I've been looking at ayahuasca since before the ayahuasca industry, so I kind of know what it was like before it was polluted by people with a vegan agenda and people just making stuff up because they're fake shaman, but then they get real popular, and so people assume they know what they're talking about, all sorts of stuff like that. So I feel like we're doing important work to help preserve traditions. We also bring money into the communities down here because people come to see me, and then they rent rooms. They come for retreats, and I have to buy them all groceries and fruits from, you know what I mean? So we're really trying to have a positive impact, and as I'm demonetized and the algorithm ignores me, we need support in order to continue doing all the stuff that we do. So please do at least hit the like button. Yeah, I'll make a video on the dogs. There's already in my shorts, I think, videos of us pulling botfly larvae out of dogs, which isn't a lot of fun. It's kind of gross. You put Vaseline on the wound and then pull the worm out when it comes up for air because they start to suffocate. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do about the dogs. I'm getting it's a bit overwhelming, we're tripping over them. And now one of the most recent ones is this beautiful white pit bull that is just the sweetest dog in the world. She's totally and completely devoted to the family, and I'm pretty sure that Enrica and Nagual have fallen in love with it, and it kind of says a lot that both of them, every dog that we've taken in and tried to rehome, they're fine with getting rid of it. Even Nagual, she would ask him, should we get rid of the dog? And Nagual would say, yeah, let's get rid of it. But we need a pit bull, and he would say that. And so now we have this pit bull, and I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to get rid of it. I think it's probably our dog now. But, the rest of them, I don't know what to do. We can't take them on the road with us. We can't, you know what I mean? We can take care of them while we're here, but then when we leave, and when we got here, I don't know if we have any old pictures, but they were skeletal. I mean, they were on death's door. And I did post some pictures of how they look now, and you can see that they're very healthy dogs. Yeah, I'm trying to move back to the U.S. My brother did finally agree to sign the inheritance papers, so we can get that moving along. Basically, I have hesitated to come to the U.S. because it's so expensive to live there, and I just want to make sure that we have a decent nest egg before I take a chance on going back to California. But it's all moving forward, so I'm hoping within a year we'll be back in California. Because we all like it there. People are always saying, why are you going to go to California? It's such a mess there and blah, blah, blah. But actually, it's not as true as, a lot of the right-wing media outlets would tell you. It is true that the homeless problem is really bad. But here's the reality about that, right? They say, oh, well, if these liberal places look at all the homeless people, guess what? Texas and South Dakota and all of these red states put their homeless people in buses and send them to California. It's not that they don't have homeless people in their states, and it's not that so many people become homeless in California. Red states actually ship their homeless people to California. So those guys, can you imagine? Well, politicians are such shitbags to create the problem and then point your finger and blame the people there. It's really ridiculous. But we love Northern California. My son has never been there, but he's always talking about it. So that's our goal, to go back there. Really, I consider California and Colorado to be pretty much the only habitable parts of the United States, and more or less different countries that have very little in common with the rest. So anyways, you guys, I've been saying that I'm going to check off of here for quite a while. You guys want to do a slideshow real quick? I'm going to have to take you into my... Yeah, I'll show you guys a couple of little sneak peeks of the video that's coming up. Let's see if I put the screen capture here, and then I got to go into my... I think this will work. Here, let me actually shrink myself down so that I'm just a little bitty talking head over here in the corner. And then we open. Mind you, these are unedited, so, you know, who knows what kind of shit I'm saying. I don't know what's in each folder, so let's just open this one, see what we got. Here is a caiman that was on the back porch off the kitchen, out behind the kitchen. Let's see, what else do we got? Let's see if I can find some actual video. These are all pictures. I wanted to find the anaconda. Oh, look at this ayahuasca vine. That's not an ayahuasca vine. What the hell is this? I clicked on the wrong picture, I guess. Huh, that's weird. I'm clicking on the right picture, but it's not opening it. Try this one more time. How about this one? There we go. Look at that thing. My guess is it's probably about 100 years old. I've never seen one that big before. So that was really remarkable. I hope you guys can actually see this. I'm not very good at OBS still. Here's a gigantic spider. What else do we got? A boa. That doesn't work. Squirrel monkey. Lots of squirrel monkeys in the Amazon still. Indigenous woman preparing the maniac. She's Siona, which is a tribe that a lot of people have never heard of because they change their name all the time. So they go through new names. They've had this one for a while, I guess, but they change their name a lot, so they're not very well known. I don't know where that anaconda went. Might be this one. Let's see.
That chicken?
It's meat, beef. It's better to use human parts. But we don't.
Oh no, this is piranha fishing. Let's see. Yeah. This is piranha fishing.
Nice. Yikes. It's a little small. Yeah, don't touch the mouth.
Look at the teeth. This video's upside down, so I apologize for that. I have to fix it. Look at this. Look at those teeth. I mean, really? Is that necessary? That's a small one. You know, they obviously they get much bigger. Reorganize myself here. There I am again. Hello. So yeah, for those of you that are coming down here, those are some of the things that you can look forward to going to. Oh yeah, there's much larger spiders than that one. There's much scarier ones. The scariest one is actually the Brazilian wandering spider. If it bites you, you can die, and if you're a man, or if you identify as a man, then what was I saying? Why is this? You will have a painful erection that can last up to 48 hours. I saw an interview with an indigenous man that was bitten by one, and he was obviously traumatized. Talking about it was really difficult for him. So I guess it's really painful and quite terrifying. The lodging in the retreat is a proper house. You have a relatively nice room. It's one of these rooms that I'm sitting in now. There's comfortable beds, 2 of them. So you can share a room, and you get a big discount if you have a group, or if you share a room with someone else. The second person is 50% off. So that can, you know, if you guys split with the discount, you can save some money that way. And yeah, so we'll spend the first 3 weeks at our place, and then the last week we will go to Cuyabeno. Oh yeah, my PC is glitchy. It's a piece of crap, man. I can't believe how the lag you guys have is so far beyond. I've set it for ultra low latency, and you guys are like several minutes behind me. But do hit the like button, share, subscribe. I'm a bit too delirious to continue. I'm getting pretty hungry, so I'm going to go have some dinner. Like I said, I was going to 30 minutes ago, and yeah, so hit the like button, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon. JungleGnosis at proton.me if you would like to join us in July for a retreat, which is coming right up. Be great to have a few more people. And then November is going to be the finale, and they get better every time. We're expanding our partner base, so we'll have more medicines available, combo probably, different rapes, and at least one more Quechua shaman who also has a reputation for being like one of the last truly authentic. People say he's the last truly authentic shaman in this area, this part of Ecuador. So I'm going to go out and meet with him as soon as it is convenient, and get an interview, and we'll probably incorporate him into the retreats. And then we have the Yanni folks from Laguna Yanni. His mom, her grandfather was a very well-known shaman that traveled all over South America. And so her lineage is solid. So yeah, do join us. It's going to be amazing, and I'm starving. So good night. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, support us on Patreon, join our secret streams, join the Illumignostic. See you guys again very soon.